What's going on, everybody? This is Moose and Brian here from OccupyFantasy.com, at OccupyFantasy on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. I'm your host, Moose, at CFB_Moose on Twitter is where you can find me. I'm going to be the host and the data guru here from OccupyFantasy.com. Here with Brian, at BrianJesterFF on Twitter, the CEO of Occupy, my brother, and hopefully we can have some sweats tonight, Brian.
Yes, sir. Do you remember how many minds we blow pretty much every time you say that you're my brother? People don't know that very often for some reason. When you say that, people are like, "You've got to be kidding." So, no, I'm good, Moose. I'm glad to be here and just bitching about the golf tournament right now and debating some USFL swaps. I don't know if they'll pan out or not. So it's an interesting Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely interesting. I went on a morning hike, and I'm basically from the torso down, my legs are just completely shot. So I'm sitting down in a chair, getting ready to watch some baseball, bet some props, and hopefully come out on top. So what you see on screen here is the Occupy single game model. We'll also bring up the Occuprop radar. Might show up the live odds screen. If you have questions, we're here in about 30 minutes. We're going to be breaking down everything. Excuse me. Lineups, props, single game parlays, all that good stuff. If you have questions about it or anything like that, definitely go ahead and ask. But let's start off with the single game model, which I'm actually going to go ahead and, if you're a member and you want to follow along with us, I posted the link in chat. We have it filtered for the Sunday night baseball game, Philly at the Mets. And Brian, you and I were talking. The first thing we both thought of was, oh God, Scherzer has a really high OF index, like the highest we've seen in single game for a while.
Dude, it's massive. 21 OF index is like double the next closest. And I ran the builder on the low risk setting, and it was like a bunch of Scherzer captains. But if you bump up the high risk or the high randomizer, you get a lot of different types of lineups. But yeah, I guess the first thing to think about this game is New York is a sizable favorite, minus 170 or so, and the total is 7. So I think, and the betting markets reflect this, and all the props show this too, right? Like most people are going to think that New York wins a low-scoring game, Scherzer pitches a gem, and that's how it plays out. But as we've talked about on this stream as recently as Wednesday, what should happen if the expected doesn't happen? Then we have a lot of options to play.
Yeah, that's when we need the after first inning Scherzer postponement, like Romanoff a couple weeks ago.
Which by the way, if that fight went off, I would have lost 100K. I think he scored 112. I would have needed him in theory to score less than 108. So let's thank Chase Sherman for pulling out that fight.
Definitely. So yeah, so we just looking at the OF index here, we have Scherzer at 21 and Eflin at 10.4. An elite, what we classify as an elite pitcher play for the OF index is 17 or higher. For a batter, it's 10 or higher. You very, very rarely see those nowadays, but we do have Scherzer here. At 17.7, he's very expensive. Let's take it step by step, Brian. So if you're building a low-risk lineup, your head-to-heads, your 50 double-ups, I think you just have to just jam in Scherzer and at captain, figure it out elsewhere.
Yeah, anything like 10 players or less, or any type of low-risk contest. I imagine he's going to be close to 90%, and people just figure it out. What we normally see, right? Most we see that. Well, they'll play Eflin in the flex as well, and they'll play as many cheap players as they can. And the thing I always look for, and I know you've been playing a lot recently, so you can attest to this, is that the field will look for the cheapest hitter that they can find and put him in, no matter how bad they are. And we see that tonight with Tomas Nido, 2.1 OF index, so literally the worst hitter on the slate, but he is 4K and guaranteed to get at bats. So people are going to play him just so they can fit in. And imagine, what do you think he'll be? 30, 40%, something like that?
I'm thinking like 30, 35%. Yeah, so we look here. He is on the favorite team, minus 190. So definitely people are going to jam him in. His ISO sucks. Wob was not the best. StatCast is like, he's like actually the worst. So it doesn't seem like that good of a play.
But basically, he's going to get chances. And there's not much you can say 4K. I guess my question is, right? Low risk, you play him because everyone else is going to do that. Is it a good move in low risk to also play a reliever? Because Scherzer is so expensive, right? You captain Scherzer, that's $1 million they get to play. You're playing Eflin as well. Put in Nido, and then maybe play Edwin Diaz, who no one's really going to play in low risk, but he's like Nido. He could get you a 0, right? And but it allows you to at least get one decent bat in your lineup, right? Is that a viable approach?
I'm looking here. I'm pulling up DraftKings on the other monitor, and if I can figure out where the non-probable screen is, and if we do that and we pull up, so that's if we pull Scherzer, Eflin, Nido, Diaz, that leaves us with 70, basically 71 to 7,200 per bat. I still don't think that gets you there because let's say you play, look at the top, Harper, Schwarber, any of those people, they're what? Maybe Schwarber, and even then, you gotta once you
Can you
put
pull
in
up
that,
DraftKings on screen or no?
no, I want to show my insanely high balance, but next time. But yeah, I'm looking here. So if you have Scherzer, Eflin, Nido, Diaz, and Schwarber, that leaves you 6,500 left.
So you could fit in,
Odubel Herrera.
yeah, Herrera. I mean, dude, all right. Is the Galaxy Brain move to play a third reliever, so you can fit in Harper or Nemo?
So I saw that the other day. There was in last week's showdown. There was the guy who finished solo first, and there was a guy who was a 150 maxer who tied himself for second, and he had 2 lineups with 2 relievers in them, one from each team, and I'm like, that's pretty high risk. I think it makes sense. I don't think you can do 2 relievers from the same team, but if you do, you have Diaz for the Mets. Maybe you do Corey Knebel, and if you fit that in, does that give you access to Harper? Let's see.
Yeah, I think it does, right?
Yeah, that does. It leaves you with $500 left over. So, I mean, that's a pretty solid low risk lineup there, I think, because I mean, what's the probability of 2 pretty terrible hitters outscoring Harper and a reliever?
Pretty low, I would think.
I would say pretty low, especially for a low risk contest where you're looking for floor outcomes. If both of your pitchers get in, they give you 1 point each, 2 points each. I still think that's valuable. So, in low risk, I definitely think you can go that way. Do you think, Brian, it would be too Galaxy Brain in low risk to swap like Scherzer and Eflin? I think that's too high risk right there.
Yeah, I think that's too much. But the double reliever plus Nido, I mean, it sounds crazy in theory, right? Because you could literally get zeros from 3 spots. But like you said, you're trying to beat half the field, and we know that if you get Scherzer and Eflin, 2 pitchers in there, that's likely to get you 30 points. That's probably enough, honestly. Especially if we see some of these really bad lineups in Showdown for MLB. But yeah. Speaking of the double reliever approach, we've seen people literally win showdowns, GPPs with double reliever zeros, not even getting points, just because of what it allows you to do. So I think it's a great approach, and we've seen the field's dropping a little bit, right? They're starting to use relievers a little more than they were, a year ago or 2 years ago.
I mean, you can say that, yes, but to the point where they were like 0.5%, and now they're like 0.75%. So they are increasing them, but I mean, there'll be some instances where we'll know, oh, this guy is going to be pitching at 2-3 innings after the starter. The starter is going to be, like he's not going to pitch as long, and that guy might be 5 to 10%. Those are rare exceptions. I guarantee each of these, I'll keep it in track for next time, but and I'll tweet it out. But I don't think any of these relief pitchers are going to be over 1%, maybe 1.5% at the most.
That's fair. That's fair.
And again, compared to Nido, who's going to be 30-40%.
Right, which is crazy, which is absolutely crazy. Musa, Jonathan in the chat, what's up, man? He says, any FanDuel strategy? So FanDuel, Moose, is obviously different, right? Because there's no pitchers. Yeah. We don't get the reliever cheat code. But what we end up seeing is just massive ownership for the favorite team players, right? So Nemo, Lindor, Escobar are going to get all the ownership at Pro, All-Star, whatever it's called, right? The multiplier positions. And it's funny enough, Harper and Schwarber are our top 2 rated bats. I think if you play those guys, that's enough. Really, the key is to just flip-flop the game script, and that's how you get different on FanDuel. Where low risk, you just go down the order and play as many of those guys as you can, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking here, like FanDuel's already a high risk for single game baseball just because there's no pitchers. It's very tough to play low risk because of the huge variance that it is there. But this sets up a perfect high risk situation where if you look at the model for FanDuel, where the top 2 hitters, like you said, are from the underdog team. think if you captain those or MVP them, whatever they're called, you can do MVP Harper, Star Schwarber, figure it out the other way with utilities. I think that's a fantastic way to start.
That's unique, right? No one's gonna. You get the correlation there, because again, Scherzer is the big favorite here. No one's gonna really want to put batters against Scherzer. And it's interesting to me, Moose, that Scherzer's the top-ranked pitcher, but Harper and Schwarber are the #1 ranked batters. Goes to show that there is some variance here that we, that we can probably benefit from.
Yeah, and if we switch over to props for like a quick second, like Scherzer's prop is for strikeouts 7.5. I think FanDuel has 8.5 up as well. But so what I'm guessing that's happened there is maybe Harper, Schwarber, some of these top batters get a run. Someone's got to score a run. Maybe they score the run, and they get their 14 points, 10 points, however you want to classify it. But Scherzer still gets 15 Ks like he always does, and he still is in the optimal because of that. But also Harper or these top other batters can get in because they're the ones that hit the home run.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, look at Scherzer's projected ISO allowed. It's 182. It's not like old Scherzer where that would be sub 100, right? Or like classic Kershaw. I mean, that's above league average ISO allowed, right? So wind's blowing out a little bit. It wouldn't surprise me to see him give up a home run or two, still strike out 8 or 9 guys, and both be optimal, like you said.
Absolutely, yeah. So we got a bunch of questions here. So Jeffrey says, what 2 relievers are good in that strategy for DraftKings? We have the relievers here. We talked about Diaz and Corey Knebel. We don't, Brian. It's very hard to project which relief pitchers are going to pitch. I don't know about you, but I literally just pick the ones with the highest ISO or with the highest OF index, and as long as they're 4K, I'll throw them in there.
I think that's fair. Yeah, that's the one key. Make sure they're 4K because we do randomly get some relievers that are like 6K or like even like super randomly like 9K for no reason. But yeah. Diaz is the closer there, and that just makes sense from a game script perspective. If you're playing Scherzer, play Diaz because if Scherzer does well and gets the win, Diaz is likely closing it out. The game's remotely close. So like that, where Evil Knievel is the closer for Philly, they probably both don't get in the game unless it's like a 1-1 game and it's really late. So I think if you go with a Philly reliever with Diaz, you probably go with one, even though they're lower ranked, maybe more likely to get in the game. That situations like Familia or Brad Hand we have there, a couple guys. I mean, you can look at their Phillies depth chart and see who's likely to pitch, but I don't know if I'd play double closer, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. RM says, what about 2 starting pitchers and 2 relief pitchers? Brian, I think that might be a little too risky. What do you think?
I don't know. We kind of mentioned that as an option in low risk. I think for high risk, there's probably not enough. Like unless the game's literally 1-0, it's probably not enough. There's gonna be some runs scored, but for low risk, I think that's probably the move.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I was thinking about high risk. Yeah, I just don't think you can get enough points there. T Nasty says, does correlation matter for single game?
Yeah, if you're playing hitters, ideally you'd want them to hit next to each other. If you're playing a bunch of lineups in a large field contest, it doesn't matter as much. But you're making 1 or 2 lineups trying to tell stories. Then I think for sure.
Definitely. Thank you, Hey Sports fans, for being in the chat. He says Knebel threw 28 pitches yesterday. And Diaz hasn't pitched since Friday, where he had 13 pitches. So Diaz looks like the move there, Brian.
Yeah, definitely a little more likely to pitch. It seems like, and that's the thing you're looking at for these single games, right? On main slates, we're just like, stack and look at the model and see who's not going to be owned. Here you're diving deep, and no one's really doing this, right? No, not a single. And relievers don't really show up in other optimizers, which is another big reason why they're not really highly owned. So just looking at minor edges like that. And again, it's very likely that whoever you pick scores a 0 because they don't get in the game. God forbid they give up a run, they score negative, and then you're really complaining.
That's top, definitely near the top of the list of tilting levels. Where oh my goodness, I picked the right reliever out of 15. Oh shit, he gets up 4 hits in a run. He has -5.
It's like, dude, I could just play the 9-hitter at 30% for a 0.
Yeah. So for full transparency, I will definitely be putting Diaz in my lineups. If you want to sweat it with us, we do have the Discord. I'll probably be on Twitter as well. If you also play them and you want to have a good time while we're watching the game, definitely check out the Discord. So I'll be posting some stuff in there during the game as well. Chris said, any StatCast All-Stars? Brian, you and I were talking about this before. For those who aren't familiar with the Occupy model, the last 2 columns on the right EV and DST is exit velocity and hit distance over the last, we have now 14 days. If we exclude the relievers, we look here, for example, we talked
All
about
Philly, by the way.
Yeah, all Philly. This sets up perfect. Odubel Herrera, we were talking about earlier. All hitters in the major league that qualify at least 10 at bats, he's ranked 27th in exit velocity, how hard he hits the ball off the bat, and 11th in hit distance, which is pretty good.
Yeah, would you say before the stream is like, because can you bring up the prop radar real quick, because we were like, oh, should we bet under on Herrera? His no home run prop is minus 5,000 or something, right?
Yeah, so I pull up Odubel Herrera at the Occupy prop radar, which again I'm posting in chat. You don't even need to be a member for this. You literally just have to click that link. What that does is you can type in any player or a game, which we'll get to next, any team, whatever you want. You put it in and it gives you all the player props, all the futures for that specific thing. And we were looking at total home runs. Looks like it actually dropped now since we talked about it, but minus 3,333 at BetMGM to not get a home run. And we were like,
who's betting that, by the way?
We were looking at that and we're like, oh my goodness, who is betting that? And we looked at his StatCast and we're like, hold up, let's actually look. The way books, just really quick, I don't know why books do this. Some books make it an over-under a half for a total home run, like we see here with MGM and DraftKings. But there's also the to hit a home run, which is only just a yes or no. And it looks like Caesars right now has the best at 10-1 to hit a home run. Brian, as we were talking about before the stream, you see a guy like Odubel Herrera who has, even though his ISO's not the best, he's hitting the ball hard, he's hitting the ball far. I think at 10-1, that's a pretty good bet there.
I'm willing to take it for somebody who's hitting the ball that well. I damn sure I'm not betting minus 3,000 that he won't hit a home run. I don't care who's pitching, who he's hitting against, right? So
yeah,
yeah. I mean, Herrera's interesting. This whole game is interesting where Scherzer's the popular pitcher here, whether it's for betting or DFS, and just no one expects him to give up runs, even though the team total for Philly is close to 2.39.
Yeah.
But the StatCast for at least Philly shows that, you know, they got some power. They've been hitting the ball hard. The wind is blowing out technically, right? I think 10 or 11 miles an hour. So I don't know. Really good chance Scherzer shuts him down. On the off chance he doesn't, we might see some home runs.
Yeah. So the best thing about the prop radar is you can click that link or the button for each sports book, whatever you want to bet it at. Click it. It'll take you directly to that sports book in your state. So I'm in Virginia. I click it. I go to Virginia Caesars. But if you're in Arizona and you click it, you'll go to Arizona Caesars. You can go right there, bet that prop, no problem. So I actually typed in the game for the Phillies at Mets. We have the game props. We don't worry about that. We'll worry about the player props. And as we talked about earlier, we talked about Scherzer being 7.5 strikeouts, and Eflin I think is 4.5. Brian, do you think that in a low-scoring game like that, if you're banking on the pitchers being some of the top-owned plays, you think it makes sense if you're having a single-game parlay, you can do over strikeouts for both pitchers, maybe, if you want to get fancy, Herrera to hit the home run, but I think, what do you think about having both pitchers over strikeouts in this type of situation for parlaying that in a single-game parlay?
It makes sense if I think our model shows a slight edge for both of those guys on the over, so we could certainly throw it in there. But then it gets tricky because you're trying to correlate, and there's not much correlation if you're betting overs on strikeouts. So I don't know. It's an interesting one because, I don't know. Ideally, you want, if you're betting any type of home runs or hits or whatever, you ideally want the opposing pitcher not to be getting strikeouts. Yeah. So I don't know. It's kind of tough. But I guess it would depend on what the payouts are, because, like we said, the most likely outcome, honestly, is Scherzer gives up a home run or two and still strikes out 10 and doesn't really give up any other runs outside of that, which would be crazy for both DFS and for any single-game parlays.
Absolutely. RMS, good point here. This could be the Washington-San Francisco game all over, where Washington scored like 15 runs. So if that's the case, that's a super high-risk game story. The story we want to tell our lineup. So in that case, how wild is it if you're playing high risk, do you think it is to fade both pitchers? Do you think you could fade one in a high risk contest? How do you think you can manage a high risk lineup with this?
Well, I can get crazy, so I'm down for any idea you got, Moose. And I think
Captain relief pitcher.
We've seen it win. We've actually seen it win before.
Yeah.
I guess the key here, though, right, is if you captain a hitter, especially a Philadelphia hitter, they're not going to be above 10% at captain, I would imagine, just because Scherzer's the opponent. And the thing is, especially if this game is low scoring, even if you tell the story that Harper scores 18 fantasy points, 18 DraftKings points, and that's the highest score, Scherzer's still probably one of the highest scorers in that game with, like, even if he gets busted up and scores 12 points, despite his salary.
Yeah.
So there's a real chance, and it may seem counterintuitive, but to play a Philly hitter, but also play Scherzer in the flex because of his strikeout floor.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough for a batter to get over double digits. So if you can pretty much lock in that 10 points or so that Scherzer's most likely going to give you, and then you bank on one of the other hitters to hit a bomb, a double, hit some RBIs in, whatever, give you that extra point. And you're also considering on DraftKings where you have the salary, you get to save $3,000 at least, depending on if you pick Harper, like $6,000 if you do Schwarber. That opens up some more possible opportunities, give you some more mid-range, high-level guys that can give you a higher overall score. That you've seen it before several times, Brian, where not the highest scorer is the captain.
Yeah, so I ran some lineups in the builder just to see what was going on and what was possible. And of the top 18 projected lineups, just based on pure OF index, this isn't any rules. I just flat out built it to see what's going on. Scherzer was the optimal captain, and only 3 of those 18. It goes to show how prohibitive his price is. Yeah. Now, again, he could very easily strike out 10. The game's 2-0, and he's the optimal captain. But if there's any scoring whatsoever, he gets pushed out pretty quickly.
Yeah, definitely. Derek says, interesting you mentioned that, Moose. FanDuel has boosted both pitchers to strike out 5 to plus 190. I mean, that seems pretty reasonable to me.
I mean, isn't Eflin's prop over minus something, like minus 150 or something?
So his prop is 4.5 over plus 130, and Scherzer's is 7.5 over minus 140. I imagine if you bumped it down to 5, like that's, I guarantee Scherzer's over prop right there would be like hit at
minus 500.
Yeah. But yeah. So I like that. Those boosts are awesome. They're a great way to get into the game if you're not really sure what you're doing, or you kind of want to test the waters. Those boosts are really good. So I would definitely go ahead and check them out if that's something that your sportsbook offers.
Yeah, definitely bet those boosts all the time.
Definitely. Chris says, shout out Orioles for letting Red Sox chalk get there. I need to check because I did have Red Sox chalk, so I'll have to check.
I also had some Red Sox chalk in my lineup, so let's see what the hell's going on in that game.
Let's see.
9-5 now. O's, by the way, winning 9-5.
Nice.
Let's see, most recent plays. Oh, a JD Martinez grand slam. Maybe that's why my currently winning went up a little bit, because it was not currently winning this much or anything.
I had, so this is sick. One of my lineups, I actually game stacked that game, and I had multiple zeros, so that's not good.
Oh.
So I didn't have JD Martinez either, so that is not good. But hey, you know what?
Well,
that's why we get a showdown.
So most tilting is playing a reliever in showdown. He gets in and loses points. Second most tilting is stacking a game, 5-man stacking a lineup, and you don't have the guy who hits a grand slam. Extra tilting.
Yeah, very, very tilting. Definitely. So, let's see here. We got 5 minutes left or so. Until then, if you guys have any questions, you want shout it up. I'm actually curious for high risk contests for people that are listening here. Are you eating the Scherzer chalk? Are you going with a batter? I would love to know if you're doing a high risk contest. Who are you putting in as your captain? For me, on record, I'm probably going Harper. Brian, do you want to go on record? Who you think is going to be the optimal captain in high risk?
Ajabel Herrera. No, I don't know. Let me see. No, I'll say. I'll go. Well, you said Harper, so I can't say that. I'll go Reese Hoskins, whose StatCast data also stands out.
Nice. So for the last couple minutes, we're going to pull up the OccuProp radar. and we do have the Phillies and Mets player props. And so I want to get your opinion on this because this is still a new tool that we have. I've been using it a lot. I don't think you've been using it some as well.
Well,
So
if Maryland ever gets sports betting mobile, I'll be using it every day.
Definitely. And so, again, it breaks down. For example, the first one that comes up here is doubles. And you can sort and click on any player you want, and it shows their props for that, or all their odds for that particular prop. Starling,
There's some degenerate shit if you're betting Tomas Nido double props. Like you're in the weeds there.
Yeah. And so, but what I'm saying is, so if you look at StatCast, you see Rhys Hopkins. He's got really good StatCast. What's the first prop you're thinking about for him? Just trying to pick your brain on how you would attack the player props for that. He's got pretty good exit velocity, pretty decent hit distance. And if we pull up his ISO, decent WOBA. Is that some guy you're looking for, maybe like a single? Take me through your process on what you would do, you think?
I think with his hit distance and his EV so hard and or ranking so highly, I would probably shoot for the plus money props of doubles or home runs. And so if we see Hoskins get a double plus 450, get extra tilted if he legs out a triple. But I think the double prop's super juicy at plus 450 or plus 475. And then what's his home run prop?
Let's see. As Chris points out, getting limited over Nido double under is not gonna make it.
Yeah, man. Yeah, honestly, if you're betting that, your account's getting red flagged because no sane person is betting Nido props unless you have an edge or you're just a flat out degenerate. So
you're just maxing the minus 1100 on under double. You're just betting thousands of dollars on it. You're getting limited pretty hard.
That's when you definitely you bet under here, but then you also captain him in DFS just to make sure you got both sides hedged.
Absolutely, yeah. So to hit a home run for Rhys Hopkins, 500 over on FanDuel, and if we look at how it's figured out at the home run,
I think you just passed it.
Yeah, there we go.
Moose, hey sports fan, says Pete Rose would even bet Nido doubles.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, it looks like over at FanDuel at plus 500, which is really good because if you look, everywhere else is less than plus 400. I definitely think something like that. You get a good StatCast guy.
I'd just rather bet doubles at that point because there's not much better odds for him hitting a home run.
That's also true, but then you get really tilted if he hits the home run. Do you bet both?
Dude, so why are his doubles plus 450 here and then his home run at FanDuel is plus 390? Like what? Come on, dude.
Yeah, and not like these aren't mutually exclusive where we have to bet one or the other. Have you thought about, because especially if you're betting plus 400, plus 500 props, you only need 1 of 4, 1 of 5 to hit. I mean, I think it can make sense where if you are really in the knee deep weeds, I don't know what that's not a real saying. If you're into these, like if you're researching a lot on one player and you're like, okay, I really think he's going to get a lot of extra base hits, bet a double, bet a home run, and if one of those hits, you're still making out on top.
Is there a triple prop for him, by the way? Just asking. Because he has one triple this year.
So it looks like our triple speed is messed up. Let me pull him up completely. Let's see here.
Okay.
And
anyways, so while you're looking at him just really quickly, he has 5 doubles on the year compared to just 2 home runs. There's no way home runs should be that close.
No. Let's see here. So does he have a triple? No, he does not have a triple.
What are we doing here? We're searching Rhys Hoskins triple props. Glad everyone here is watching this and enjoying it.
He's going to hit 3 triples and just break every prop.
But can you imagine the excitement? He gets a ball in the gap. You're like, get on your horse, Rhys. Come on, if you bet a triple prop.
Yeah, and honestly, that's why I love betting these player props because, especially for a place like MLB, anything can happen at any one plate appearance, especially for batters. Get a hit. Oh my goodness, he can get there. You better double, get on your horse, but not too hard.
Not too much.
Hey, sports fan says, have you got any stolen base data for tonight's game?
Dude, last time we had a stolen base idea hit. We're 1-for-1 lifetime on stolen base locks of the century. So we gotta find one tonight. We'll see if there's one available.
Let's see here if I can find. Let's see.
Who's that? Was that Cedric Mullins? We said was gonna steal a base.
Yeah, it was like was like 450 or something like that.
It was an insane. It was an insane line. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
a great bet by us.
Like 1 for 4 with stolen base was great. So
Yeah.
So if we pull up here, stolen base actually isn't on the showdown model, but let me pull up the batters here, and I'll filter out the teams. We'll pull it up there.
I'm doing the same thing myself.
Eagles says, "What's up, fam? What's up, Eagles?" Chris says, "Nito a lock for multiple doubles tonight."
Oh, we don't even have. All right, we don't even have the teams in the batters tab because they're single game. So
yes,
you know what? I'll look on the back end and I'll
Yep.
get some numbers here.
definitely.
I'll go deep on this for us because we gotta. If there's a home run, if there's a stolen base call to be had, we gotta call it out. So let me look here for you guys.
FanDuel and all of them are just watching our streams. Like as soon as we say this call, they're just moving it 300 cents.
Dude, they were in our Discord chat and moved the Herrera line as we were joking about it. We didn't
Yeah.
even say we were gonna bet. We were just joking about betting, and the FBI came and moved the line. All right, hold on, let me see. All right, Philadelphia and New York Mets. All right, here we go. Back in little tech meme. Okay, stolen bases.
So let's see here. Hey, sports fan says he's going for Starling Marte, stolen base.
So he's the highest. He is the highest stolen base projection for us.
Okay.
0.03 stolen bases. We got him projected for just about 4 plate appearances.
Okay.
That's a 12% chance. That's not great for what's the stolen base prop? If it's anything less than like plus 500, it's probably not good.
So it's
Because
plus
if you remember,
550.
you're enticing me with the plus
So
550.
let's see here. So I'm pulling it up. I got like a little Poisson calculator, not a calendar. Overall on the back.
He's the
end right
best
here.
bet. I'll say he's the best bet for stolen
Yeah.
base. I'll say that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wait, who's this?
I'm trying to think.
Lindor also an option, but I have a feeling that his stolen base prop's not gonna be as high as
So what's
we
his?
also got-
What's his thing?
Harper and Real Muto. Both have. Let me see.
I love how you're like, all right, no one can get a stolen base. Oh wait, actually, these like 7 people can get a stolen base.
Well, it depends on their odds. Just filter through the. I mean,
Okay,
if
so
Lindor's plus 11.
Yeah, so I'm gonna go Starling Marte plus 550.
Okay.
Real Muto 10-1. Lindor 11-1. Nimmo 12-1.
Okay.
Harper 13-1. Segura 13.5-1.
Dude, who's paying to have Thomas Nito in the feed? Like, why is he have so many props tonight?
Dude, Nito, Captain Nito, dude's gonna crush.
Hold on.
He's gonna hit doubles. He's
supposed
gonna get stolen base. He's gonna hit the home run.
We have Nito projected for exactly 0 stolen bases, 0.00.
So that's when you hammer the under 5,000.
Yeah.
And then Guillorme at 16.5-1.
I'll say so. In order of likelihood to get a stolen base, it's Marte, tier 1, and then it's Real Muto, Lindor, and Harper right behind him. But Harper, Lindor, and Real Muto are all the same. And if you can get Harper 13-1, there's your bet.
Nice. So, going on record with the Harper over a half at 13-1 over at BetMGM. Again, if you like that, you can also go check it out in the prop radar. Click the Bet Now link. It'll take you directly to MGM in your state to go there. And as Hey Sports Fan said, Eflin's a righty too, which kind of helps. Also true.
Sure.
Definitely. Do we want to make any home run calls, Brian? Or any doubles? You said you like the double on
Hoskins. Yeah.
on Hoskins?
So then we got double on Hoskins. We got Herrera to hit a home run for life-changing money, and then we got Harper to get a stolen base. And then I like what Derek called out in the chat, the FanDuel boost, where both pitchers K5 plus batters. So that's what I'm rolling with. And now I have incentive to watch the game, which is the reason we all bet anyways, right? To have incentive to watch games. So yeah, let's get that rolling. I like that idea.
Yeah, that'll be sick. So yeah, I'll be also in Discord as well every time those players are at bat, and I will probably be like sending sad faces every time they strike out. But
was you putting some coin on any Nito props?
I mean, yeah, as Hey Sports fans, I gotta put it on him to get the cycle. Why not? But yeah. So any last words or anything else we missed that you want to talk about for a couple minutes, Brian?
I don't think so. No, if you guys enjoyed these types of streams, let us know. We like having fun and talking about betting and talking about single game. And it gives us a chance to kind of lay back and just enjoy it a little bit, and it allows us to sweat with. Because again, you can bet $1 on these props, right? So it allows us all to sweat as a community. If you guys like these types of streams, let us know. Give us a thumbs up, and click subscribe if you're not already, because we would like to do more of these for all sports. If you guys think this is a good idea, just let us know. We like to do the streams that you guys like to see, so definitely let us know.
Definitely, yeah. And you mentioned it's $1. I know everyone's situation is different, but especially on Sunday Night Baseball, you had a long week at work. You just want to relax. You throw a couple $1 single game parlays out there on things that you think you have an edge on. You use the model, you use your own tools, whatever you want to use. You sit back, talk to your friends, have a nice chat in Discord or whatever group chat you're a part of. It's an awesome time. Sweat your lineups as well. Pretty awesome.
Agree. So let's get it, and let's spam Discord if any of these guys do anything.
Yes, absolutely. So until next time, Moose and Brian here from Occupy Fantasy. Have a good night.
Peace.